Y'all, let me tell you about one of those incredible singers who should have been everywhere, but instead got caught up in what people call the bad boy curse. And Chile, you won't believe who we supposedly have to thank for this mess. None other than Diddy himself. Now, before we dive into all this drama, let me paint you a picture of our girl Tanya, because this story needs some context, honey. Born to an Afro-Panamanian mama and an African-American daddy, Tanya was literally birthed with rhythm in her bones. Growing up, she was that church girl who had everybody saying, "Thank you, Jesus," every Sunday at those Baptist services. And during the week, baby, she was serving vocals at that Catholic school choir like her life depended on it. But she wasn't just about those heavenly notes, sis had brains too. She took those talents straight to Morgan State University, majoring in psychology while still keeping her singing game strong in that university choir. Talk about beauty and brains. Now, for those of y'all who were blessed enough to be around in the 90s, you know Tanya from Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, honey. When she performed His Eye is on the Sparrow with Lauryn Hill, baby, I'm telling you, angels themselves stopped to listen. According to Miss Tanya, that movie was the moment everything changed for her. And I mean everything.
Miss Tanya Trotter, formerly Tanya Blount, that was my name when I did Sister Act 2, and my name in the movie was simply Tanya. Oh my
She's my whole life, you know that. I can't.
But let me tell you something. Sister Act 2 was just the beginning of what should have been a legendary career. Our girl was actually climbing that success ladder like she had rocket boosters on her feet. Her debut album, Natural Thing, dropped in 1994 and hit number 58 on the US R&B hip-hop albums chart. Now, I know what you're thinking. 58 ain't that high, but baby, for a debut album, that was something. And the singles, Chile, let me break it down for you. Her first single, I'm Going to Make You Mine, reached number 57 on the R&B hip-hop songs chart. Then Through the Rain came through and said, hold my purse, because it climbed all the way to number 26 on the R&B hip-hop charts and made its way to number 90 on the Hot 100. The third single, Hold On, wasn't playing either, reaching number 66 on the R&B hip-hop charts. She even blessed us with a holiday single called Remember Love, because the girl was working. 1995 rolled around and what happened? Bam! Nomination for Best New Artist at the Soul Train Music Awards. At this point, record labels were fighting over Tanya like the last piece of sweet potato pie at Thanksgiving dinner. Everybody wanted a piece of what she was serving. But then, 1996 happened. And baby, this is where our story takes a turn darker than midnight. Tanya signed with Bad Boy Entertainment, and Chile, if she knew then what we know now, she would have run faster than Usain Bolt in the opposite direction. Now, at first, everything seemed fine and dandy. Diddy was all up in the studio acting like he was invested in her second album. They were recording songs left and right. We're talking 50 to 60 songs, y'all. 50 to 60. Do you know how many songs that is? That's enough for 5 albums. But then, faster than you can say Bad Boy for life, everything changed. Suddenly, Diddy's interest in the project supposedly disappeared like my ex with the rent money. After years of recording, and I mean years, only 2 songs ever saw the light of day. I Love Him and The Last Time We Made Love. 2 songs. The disrespect of it all. This is somebody who used to drop hits back to back before Bad Boy, and now she's sitting on a goldmine of unreleased music. But wait, it gets worse. They had her recording for this gospel compilation album with all these huge names: Faith Evans, Brandy, Carl Thomas, Brian McKnight, Boys II Men, Total. Basically everybody who was anybody. Tanya even spoke about it, saying Diddy was trying to show the big willies and hustlers that they could party and still love Jesus. But guess what happened to that album? It got shelved indefinitely like last season's fashion trends. Now, here's where the real tea starts spilling, honey. According to Tanya, she wanted to explore different styles and blend all the music she grew up with. But apparently, Bad Boy was like, nah, sis, you're gonna do it our way or no way. The frustration was real. Listen to what she said about her darkest moment. And grab your tissues because this is gonna hurt your heart. When I realized that I did not want to do a deal and I walked away from it, we had just recorded about 50 to 60 songs at Arista Records with Sean Combs. I remember going to the studio and telling my manager, I don't want to do this. I want a different style of music. Why can't we blend all these styles of music that I grew up listening to? Why do I have to do this in order to make it? Y'all, it got so bad that our girl went into therapy and even attempted to take her own life. Can you imagine being so trapped in a situation that you see no way out? My heart breaks just thinking about it. When she finally decided to get out of that bad boy contract, Chile, it was like trying to escape quicksand in stilettos. The more she struggled, the deeper she sank. Things got so bad that she ended up homeless. But before you start thinking Tanya was the only one who allegedly got done dirty by bad boy, let me tell you about some others who got caught in the same web. Let's talk about Craig Mack for a minute.
Man, Craig Mack went to his grave mad at Bad Boy. Craig Mack told his people, told the religious people that don't let them pay for shit of mine. I don't want them to pay for nothing in my death. You gotta be mad at them, man.
The streets were talking, honey. Craig left the label in '95, and when he passed away, he didn't even want Diddy at his funeral or Bad Boy contributing anything. That's how deep the hurt went. Then there was Mace, who literally ran to the pulpit after Bad Boy nearly destroyed him.
If the devil can use him aggressively, then I want you to know God could use me aggressively. I want you to also know you may not like my delivery. You might say, well, listen here, why did you say it that way? I cannot speak to people outside of the church the way I speak to people inside the church. I gotta know my audience. Isn't that what you would say if you're talking to a people? The first thing you gotta know is your audience. And I also want you to know that the thing that's really stirring up so much confusion is because for years, these guys have organized a mass organized effort to slander my name behind the scenes. So every time I say something, you're just seeing my part because their part is behind the scenes.
And speaking of finding Jesus after Bad Boy, Loon went down that same spiritual path. But wait, there's more. Carl Thomas's story will have your blood boiling. When his brother died, Diddy supposedly had the audacity, and I mean the audacity, to call him a week later asking when he was coming back to the studio because he had some hits for him. The lack of basic human empathy, I can't. Then there was Little Jerome, another star whose light got dimmed by Bad Boy. When somebody asked if leaving the label was his choice, Jerome spilled this piping hot tea.
It was reflux, I think. Nobody really knew for sure what was going on because, you know, I went to a doctor and he kind of like examined, he put stuff down in my nose, he gave me all kinds of medication, he said it was allergies and he didn't know. And then later on, actually it wasn't until I got released from Bad Boy that I found out that it was reflux. So nobody knew what it was. I didn't know, my dad didn't know, the company didn't know, and the album just never came out. And eventually I did have a nervous breakdown.
And don't even get me started on day 26. Willie Taylor came out and said the whole making the band situation was designed to fail. His exact words were, the platform and contracts were all set up for the failure of hungry talents. The mess of it all. Now here's where it gets even spicier than a ghost pepper. Some people say Diddy was interested in Tanya, and because she wasn't trying to party his way, he allegedly made her life a living nightmare. When all those allegations against Diddy started coming out recently, Tanya addressed it on the Dumb Blonde podcast, saying, everything has good and bad. I'm really appalled with the stuff I'm hearing about now. I had protection. I had a manager who told me, no, you're not going to that party. I also had God protecting me from whatever was happening. But don't worry, y'all. God don't close a door without opening a window. While trying to piece her life back together, Tanya met her future husband, Michael Trotter, and Chile. This is where our story takes a beautiful turn. Let me tell you about this love story that's sweeter than banana pudding. Michael's story itself is incredible. Growing up in homeless shelters, finding his musical calling during the Iraq War when he had to write songs to honor fallen soldiers. When these two met at a festival where they were both performing, baby, Tanya ran across that field in 4-inch heels like she was Flojo. She just knew she had to know who this man was. Even though he lost her number, typical man behavior, зрение, она нашла его и сделала этот звон. They started collaborating on music, and honey, that musical chemistry was just the appetizer. The main course was coming. They got married in 2011 and formed the War and Treaty in 2014. Now their journey wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. They both faced homelessness and struggled, but they found their purpose through music. Their song, 5 More Minutes, came from one of their darkest moments. In 2017, Michael was contemplating unaliving enjoying himself, and what Tanya did next will have you crying. She got down on her knees and literally begged him for 5 more minutes to love him. Here's how Michael remembers it. Tanya got down right between my legs on her knees and grabbed me by my face and said, "I know you have a time frame to end your life today, but if you would just give me 5 more minutes to love you, I promise I'll give you a reason to change your mind." Y'all, he says he's still living in those 5 minutes. Is somebody cutting onions in here? Today, thank the Lord, Tanya's doing okay. The War and Treaty has been developing a following with their unique blend of Americana, gospel, R&B, and pop. They're known for turning suffering into hope, starting with their 2017 EP, Down to the River, and their album Healing Tide a year later. But can we talk about how different things could have been if she hadn't gotten tangled up in that bad boy web? Did that bad boy curse derail her career like it did so many others? Chile. I think we all know the answer to that. But you know what? Sometimes God's biggest blessings come disguised as closed doors. And while Tanya might not have gotten the superstar career she deserved, she found love, purpose, and her own path to making meaningful music. Now that's what I call turning lemons into lemonade. What do y'all think about all this drama? Was Bad Boy really out here collecting talented artists just to put them on ice? Do you think Tanya's career would have been bigger without all this drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because Chile, I need to hear what you think about this whole situation. And remember, sometimes the biggest blessing is when God protects you from what you thought you wanted. Can I get an amen in the comments?